All right, good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I am chairing today's panel. With me via Zoom are Gail Anderson and Richard Whitbread. The assessor today is Jamie Fougere, and the administrative personnel is Jaswinder Kumar. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. We advise that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jamie Fougere.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Aimer, please state your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right. Now we will commence with 1500 Dakota. I understand there's a bunch of recommendations today, so Mr. Fougere, you can proceed.
Right. So the first property that we have is 1500 Dakota Street. And so I'm going to get you to open my brief first, and then I'm going to get you to open the recommendations document, we'll say the first of 2 recommendations documents. And when you get there, just let me know and I'll proceed.
Yeah, I have them open.
Good here.
I do too.
Okay, you can proceed then.
Okay, so the roll number is 0800-609-8800. The address is 1500 Dakota Street, and the original assessed value is $12,259,000. And so this is a neighborhood shopping center, sort of deep into South Saint-Vital. The land area is 277,662 square feet, and the plan area of the building is 54,487 square feet. And so you can see the property on the second page of my brief. If you look carefully, they're doing a little bit of a facelift to the front of the sort of large box that you see again on page 2 of my brief. That's the Sobeys space. And so they've updated the facade around the time of this picture here. Another thing I want to point out is just to to the southeast, there's a patch of grass there that's for potential future development. We haven't put any value on it. I just wanted to point it out. And so on the third page of my brief, you can see the top photo is the sort of facelift that the Sobeys got. And then towards the bottom here, you see the old facade. And then you see the strip mall that's attached to it there. So now if you want to turn to the recommendations document. So what I've done here is I've followed Mr. Reimer's proposed assessment. The only change that I have between mine and his is that we're using the 3% other expense, and I believe Mr. Reimer is using the 7%. But otherwise, we have the same rental rates and the same cap rate, shortfall, and vacancy allowance. Now, I would turn to the net operating income of this property, but unfortunately, when they submitted their mailer online, you can see pages 13, 12, 13, and on in my brief. The information, unfortunately, didn't get recorded properly. So we don't actually have any information for the 2020 mailer. If you would turn to the applicant's brief, I believe they have some information on the net operating income in their materials. So if you wanted to open their brief, Mr. Reimer's brief, you can see on page 18. For the year 2020, at least, they have a net operating income of $920,786. And so our recommendation is to use a net operating income of $829,641. Now that's going through our parameters of the 5% for the vacancy and the 3% for other. But you can see that we're still coming in quite a bit under what's being reported for 2020. So that's my recommendation, to take the original assessed value from $12,259,000 to $12,201,000.
All right. Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about that recommendation?
We've narrowed the issues even further, but I would like to present briefly, and I just had a couple of questions.
All right. So are you done your presentation, Jamie?
Yeah, I would just maybe just add, while I have the chance, that I have looked at 4 years of reported income, and you know, the 2020 was the highest that I had seen, but 2019, for example, was 876,000. 2018 was 847,000. So again, we're coming in below what's been reported over the last few years. So that's my presentation.
Okay, questions, Mr. Reimer?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And can I ask, Mr. Fougere has referenced the materials in my brief, the income and expense questionnaire. So if I could ask the board members just to go to that page, it's on page 18 of my submission. And a couple of questions will relate to that and the comments concerning that. So Mr. Fougere, do you have my page 18 open?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. So if we look on the right-hand column, and you've referenced the NOI for 2020, and there's certainly no dispute as to what it is. But if we look at the right-hand column, we can agree that the statement is based on the actual vacancy at the property, which was 0%, correct?
Correct.
And so if I understood you right, then with the recommendation now, the department's applying the same potential rent as we're suggesting, and the only remaining difference is the non-recoverable expense, right?
Right.
Okay. But of course, and so with the 0% vacancy, of course, in the evaluations that we're performing, we're allowing some vacancy, stabilized vacancy at 5%, and we're both applying the 5% and saving, except for non-recoverables, the remaining parameters, correct?
Correct.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Those are my questions.
Okay, Gail, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Richard?
Only one or two. If I heard you right, then you changed the rent to match Mr. Reimer's rent. And I'm looking at the square footage. You have a 56,911. Mr. Reimer has a 54,730. A couple of thousand, 2181 square feet. Can you account for that? Because that kind of affects the numbers.
Right. So that's for the purposes of this valuation, I was willing to concede on the mezzanine space for the Sobeys. So at this location, they have a sort of it's a second floor basically that's over top of the pharmacy. It has staff room, staff washrooms, lunchroom, and some lockers, as well as, I believe, some sort of storage / mechanical space. So we haven't we haven't assigned any value to that space in our workup here, in our recommendation, being that we are suggesting that you could do one of two things to get to the actual rent that the Sobeys are paying. You can put all the rent on the main floor, in which is what we've done here, or you can sort of hold back a nominal amount and attribute that to the mezzanine space. But they don't seem to be paying any extra for that mezz space. So again, for the purposes of this recommendation, we decided to let it go.
So you're comfortable just letting that 11,537 of
yes.
rent go? Okay.
Yeah, and if you
I hear you.
Yeah, and if you just to illustrate, if you look at the original assessed value, we had $13.22 on the main floor area of the Sobeys. And so, you can get to an effective rate of something similar to $16 a square foot on the main floor. If you add the 428, just going to do it real quick here. Oops. Yeah, so originally the total rent that we had assigned to the Sobeys spaces, both the main floor and the mezzanine section, combines to an effective rate of $13.58 on the Sobeys space. So in reality, we've actually, on the whole, come up significantly to that $16. So if you account for that space specifically, you can do it that way, or you can sort of look at the space together and the total amount of rent that comes out. The difference, I think, is made up with the other rental units in the mall. We're using the actuals here generally of 17, 15, 16, as opposed to 21, 22, sort of thing for the original assessment. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions, so Mr. Reimer, you can proceed on your presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And the issue is very narrow. It relates to, based on the recommendation Mr. Fougere has made, it relates to non-recoverable only. If I could ask the board members and Mr. Fougere to turn to our submission on page 14, please. So page 14 sets forth our valuation based on the recommendation that Mr. Fougere has made. We're now at the same level of rent. I did want to comment briefly on Mr. Whitbread's question, and it's certainly a fair question, but this is another example of where the build out of the space that originally for these grocery stores typically has some mezzanine space involved with it, with the functions that Mr. Fougere had referenced in his submission. Nearly invariably, in fact, from my experience, invariably, the rent that is paid, notwithstanding the build out, the rent that's paid by the tenant to the landlord is calculated based on the main floor only. So the allocation that Mr. Fougere is speaking of makes perfect sense, but one has to allocate it within the context of the rent that's actually being paid. In this case, the total rent that we've applied was the $16 rate based on the main floor area. And that, of course, results in the annual rent of $518,000. That was significantly higher than the model-driven rent that had originally been used to prepare this assessment. But for the reasons that Mr. Fougere has talked about, and he was very forthright, I certainly believe that the $16 rate, based on the renewal and based on the market information we've compiled, certainly is fair, and it does represent the total income stream attributable to the store, including the mezzanine space. So in this case, as you can see on page 14, the sole issue remaining, and I'm not going to belabor this because I recognize everyone on this panel, you heard us talk about non-recoverables many, many, many times. I'm not even going to ask you to open it because I know you know it, but I will just highlight the points for recollection. We believe that the non-recoverable expense was always intended to represent a true allowance for those expenses that are not recoverable under any circumstances, including situations like this where the tenants are on triple net leases. We have looked at previous assessor manuals from the city. We've looked at some other provinces' assessment manuals as set forth in the study, and we've looked at appraisal theory. And those sources confirm for us, we believe, that approach, that these non-recoverable expenses need to be accounted for. In our non-recoverable submission, we provided the analysis that I've gone through many times with the board members and Mr. Fougere, the statistical mean and median based on the analysis we've done was just north of 5%, but we're comfortable with the 5%. The study this go around also includes those examples of a sale transaction involving 3 different very minor adjustments. One was the full 5%, one reducing the 5 to 0, and one reducing the 5% to 1%. The last example being the most relevant, the mathematical effect is to increase the capitalization rate by roughly 33 basis points. The reason that's important, Mr. Chairman, is in our retail capitalization study and all of our capitalization rate studies, we have included the full 5% in our analysis. So if one reduces it from 5 to 1, notwithstanding the mathematical effect of 31 to 33 basis points, we would request an increase in the capitalization rate of 25 basis points. So with that said, then on page 14, as you can see there, the non-recoverables are at 5%, and the capitalization rate at 6.8. I actually, and I'm going to be very transparent, I think in our retail capitalization rate study, we reference top quality properties with an upper end of 6.75%. So 6.8 is actually just a few basis points above that. The reason I would consider this a top quality center is primarily, in fact, virtually exclusively because this is a grocery anchored property, and the grocery anchored properties were the consistent commentary was that the grocery anchored and drugstore anchored properties were weathering the storm created by the pandemic better than other retail classes. So with all of that being said, the request as shown on page 14 is to increase the hours to maintain the non-recoverable expense at 5%. And with the application of the remaining parameters shown there, our requested value is 11,683,000. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Fougere?
Just one question. Did you have a chance to stabilize the non-recoverable expenses at this property?
I have not looked specifically at this property, Mr. O'Shea. I think your question's a fair one, but certainly what the comment I'd have is that it certainly fluctuates significantly, primarily because the most significant expense in the non-recoverables relates to leasing commissions. So in some years, they're going to be very high where there's significant tenants, where there's significant vacancies or renewals, and the commissions will be high that year and then they'll dip down low again. So no, the quick answer is no, I haven't. It wouldn't at all change my opinion as to stabilize the allowance being what I believe is appropriate, but I haven't tried to do a specific analysis in this case.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Gail, any questions?
I have no questions. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Richard, any questions?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, and so am I. So thank you very much for that. I actually did have your study open there, Terry.
If you want, Mr. Chairman, I can go through it, but I'm guessing.
No, I'm not that much of a keener. Okay. We'll go next to 827 Dakota Street. So I'm just opening the files. And okay, Mr. Fougere, you can begin on 827 Dakota.
All right. So we're just going down the street here to 827 Dakota. It's 08. The roll number is 0802099850. And the original assessed value totals $26,684,000, and that is $24,958,000. That's going to the taxable commercial, and then $1,690,000 going to the school tax exempt 40S portion. And so if you look at the second page of my brief, you can see it's sort of a series of strip malls, and they actually have just to the north, the parcel there is under the same ownership as well. And so above is Shoppers Drug Mart, as well as a couple other big box retailers. But on the subject roll, we have an LC and some other retailers at the back. If you want to look at page 3, this property has also gone through a slight facelift on the exterior. You can see at the top, it has some of the new colors. You can see sort of gray on the facade. And then some of the pictures below, just in order to get a better view of some of the other tenants here. These pictures are from prior to that sort of reformatting of the color scheme. And you can see the property continues on page 4 of my brief. Again, a series of restaurants and CRUs. And so our recommendation is on the second page, or begins on the second page of the recommendations document. And I've had to go over 2 pages here. So just to say, on the left-hand side is the original assessment, and then on the right side is our recommendation. And so you can see the breakdowns on the second page of the recommendation. So the original 60T stream goes from 24,958,000 to 22,904,000. And then the 40S income stream goes from 1,690,000 to 1,693,000. So that's actually representing obviously a small increase on the 40S stream. So I don't know if this is required, but I can tell you the total assessment proposed recommendation. Just going to add it up here real quick. So totaling 24,597,000. But again, we have it broken out into the two streams here. 60T being 22,904,000, and then 40S being 1,693,000. And the only thing that we've changed here is we've used the actual rental rates in place, and there's no other changes to the proposed assessment.
All right. Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about the recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, with the rest of the properties this morning, I don't yet have instructions, but Mr. Fougere and I have reviewed them in detail, and subject to getting those instructions, I'm in agreement with those values, and I expect to get those instructions very shortly.
Okay. All right. Are there, Gail, do you have any questions on the recommendation?
The recommendation, no questions on the recommendation other than to ask again about the square footage. There seems to be a small variance. Yours was in the taxable portion, 78,054 square feet, and the applicant had indicated 78,139 square feet.
Right. So if you look at it's page 3 of the document, or the second page of the subject's recommendation, of 827 Dakota's recommendation.
Yeah.
You can see the last unit there.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we had that out of 2 other units, unit 2B and 3. We had that previously. And so I guess it's been combined, the space, and just a small correction. Sometimes when they're fitting up the spaces, the plans can have slightly different varying dimensions as they get finalized. So it's just a little bit of cleanup sort of thing.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay, Richard, questions?
Asked and answered.
Okay, thank you very much for that one then. We will go to 14 Island Shore Boulevard. Let me open the files. Okay, Mr. Fougere, Island Shore Boulevard.
All right, so the next property is 14 Island Shore Boulevard, as you say. The roll number is 0600-291-2000. And there's another classification split at this property. So we have the 2 classifications being 60T, commercial taxable, and then 40E, and that's relating to the daycare that they have there. And so the 60T portion is 7,850,000, $1,257,000. And then the 40E portion is $1,109,000. So that combines to a total original assessment of $8,966,000. And you can see the property on the second page of my brief. It's sort of a smaller neighborhood shopping center. And continues on page 3. You can see the rental units. So for my proposed recommendation, if you want to turn to page 4 of my recommendations document, we have the original assessed value on the left-hand side and then the proposed assessment on the right-hand side. You can see there are 3 units highlighted in yellow that their numbers differed slightly from what we had on file. So we've reviewed that, and it seems to be consistently reported at these figures. So we've made those changes. And again, we're using actuals in this case. And there's no other change to the proposed or no other changes from the original assessment. So you can, and I should mention there's 2 pages to this recommendation. The 40E section is on the next page, page 5. And I'll just go through the original 60T portion was $7,857,000, and we're proposing $6,770,000 for the 60T portion. And then on the second page of that recommendation, the 40E portion was $1,109,000, and we're proposing to reduce it to $820,000.
Okay, Mr. Rammer, how do you feel about those recommendations?
I'm in agreement, just subject to confirmation of instructions, which I expect to have shortly.
Okay, thank you for that. Gail, any questions?
You're mute, Gail.
Sorry, I have no questions.
Oh, that's anticlimactic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Richard, any questions?
No, this is fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Dan. We'll move on to 1549 St. Mary's Road.
No, it's 107 Vermilion, Mr. Chair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. I'm ahead of my time again.
If I may ask a question, Mr. Chair, there was a second summary, Jamie. Is this the final, or is the other submission the final?
So the second submission is the final one for 107 Vermilion Road. And that's that document, just for reference, to make sure you've got the right one open, is 3 pages in length, and actually the third page is not really necessary. But as opposed to the original, which was part of the document, that it was 11 pages in length. And so when we get to it, I can explain sort of the reformatting here.
Okay.
Yep, let's begin then with 107 Vermilion. I'm just opening the files now. Okay, so on 107 Vermilion.
All right. So the original sorry, I should begin with the roll number. The address is 107 Vermilion Road. The roll number is 06007665100. And so the original assessment was $14,750,000 for the 60T, the commercial portion, and then $478,000 for the 40E portion, which totaled $15,228,000. And this is a property you can see on the second page of my brief that follows Fermor. And it's part of several roles, including 35 Lakewood. But it's a series of larger neighborhood shopping centers that are connected with the same ownership, but they are broken up into sort of these segmented parcels. And you can see on page 3 of my brief some of the tenancy here. We have a couple banks, as well as the Fountain Tire and some retailers. And then on page 4, we have some of the other CRUs, including the A&W. And then on the 5th page of my brief, you can see the vacant Perkins building. It's been vacant, I believe, since 2018. So we're in agreement with Mr. Reimer that specifically because of this vacancy, this large 7,000 square foot restaurant vacancy, that we should make a vacancy adjustment. And so if you want to turn to my original recommendations document, the way that I had it set out was that we would be using a combined vacancy amount of 9.6%. And that's sort of calculated with that 25% on vacancy adjustment on the 7,000 square feet, working out to a blended 9.6. But in Mr. Reimer's revision to my recommendation, he has set out the vacancy as per the tenancy, and overall it gets to the same place, but it attributes the vacancy specifically to the restaurant spaces and leaves it for the others. And so this does have an impact on the exempt portion, because previously I was using a blended vacancy rate of 9.6, including on the exempt portion. But here, Mr. Reimer is proposing we use 5% for the exempt portion, and I'm in agreement. I think that's probably a better way to do it. With Mr. Reimer's submission, I'm just going to calculate here. So the 60T portion would be $14,527,000, and then the 40E portion would be $464,000.
Okay. And Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about those values?
I am in agreement with that recommendation, just subject to confirming instructions, which I expect to have shortly.
Okay, let me just 14,527,000. Okay, so you said 14,527,62,
Right.
and then 464,000 is the 40E.
That's right.
1,527. I see what it did. I got too many zeros in my. You don't want 145 million, do you? No, I got too many zeros there. That's better. Okay. So any questions from the panel?
I have none.
Okay,
The
Gail?
only question I have for the assessor is what use is in the 40S property?
I believe.
I can help with that, Mr. Fugere, if you want.
Thank you.
It's a nonprofit daycare again. It's a daycare on site.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I may have said it was 40E, but 40S classification. All right, thank you for that. Then now we get to go to 1549 St. Mary's Road.
I would just say that I think it is 40E.
It is 40. Yes.
40E? Okay.
Yeah, it is 40E.
Yeah, so I've, in my recommendation, I've written in 40S. In the original recommendation, and that's an error on my behalf, so I apologize.
Okay, no problem.
So what about 827 Dakota? It was 40E too, right then?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually,
no.
Sorry.
Chairman, I think that was 40S at 827 Dakota. And Ms. Anderson, that relates to a Uville clinic. So they're not,
right.
It's a 40S. So sorry for the confusion. The 827 Dakota is 40S and 107 Vermilion is the 40E with a nonprofit daycare.
Right. It was the one at
14
Island Shore Boulevard. 14 Island Shore Boulevard was 40E, right? Okay.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was important to get the classifications right here.
Yeah.
Okay, 1549 St. Mary's Road. Mr. Fugere, you can begin.
All right. So 1549 St. Mary's Road is the address. The roll number is 080050662200. And the original 2023 assessment is $3,711,000. And you can see this property on the second page of my brief. It's sort of right on the corner of Meadowood and St. Mary's Road. Not too far from the 827 Dakota. And then you can see pictures of the building. They've gone through a bit of a sprucing up of the exterior. You can see on page 3 and 4 of my brief. And if you want to turn to the original recommendations document that I had sent, so the first sort of companion document, on page 8 of the 11-page document, we have the original assessment on the left-hand side and then the recommendation on the right-hand side. This one is only 1 page in length. We have made a slight adjustment to the 5th unit here. And then the first 2 units on the recommendation side here combine to the leasable area that we have of 2,623 at the top of the original assessment. So you can see I've just sort of bundled those together in a box to show where the difference comes from there. And then we've just proposed using the actual rents in place and no other changes to the assessment. And so it goes from $3,711,000 to $3,447,000.
Okay, and how do you feel about that number?
We are in agreement, subject only to confirmation of instructions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any questions from the panel?
I have none.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. So then we go to hold it. 140 Meadowwood. That's it.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to frame the discussion, we will be seeking a 54-1 on this assessment for the board's information.
And that's confirmation.
Yes.
For those who aren't familiar with the act. Okay. So, Mr. Fougere, on 140 Meadowwood, just give us the information.
Sure. So the address is 140 Meadowwood Drive. The roll number is 0800-536-5000. The original assessment, which we're also asking for confirmation of, is $10,465,000. And if you'd like to situate the property, we have pictures on page 2 and 3 of my brief.
Okay. Any questions from the panel on this property?
I have no questions.
Okay. Confirmation requested has been noted. Then we'll go to 1071 Autumnwood. Let me open the files. Okay, Mr. Fougere, on 1071 Autumnwood.
Okay, so 1071 Autumnwood Drive. The roll number is 060934622230. The original 2023 assessed value is $3,737,000. You can see the property on the second page of my brief. It's sort of deep into, I guess you call this Southdale, this area, but it's a property that sort of has a bit of odd configuration here. It is kind of deeply inset from both directions, but it is basically a large strip mall. And you can see our recommendation for the property on page 11 of my original recommendations document. And the original assessment is on the left-hand side, and the recommendation is on the right-hand side. There has been some vacancy in this mall, so we've used the actual rents in place. We've corrected some areas, specifically the last unit here on the list that's highlighted in yellow. Just cleaning up our records. And then we've changed the vacancy allowance to reflect some of the vacancy that's been ongoing there. And then we've adjusted the capitalization rate as well from 6.9 to 7.55. So the original assessed value was $3,737,000, and we're proposing a reduction to $3,165,000.
Okay, and how do you feel about that recommendation, Mr. Reimer?
We are in agreement, subject to confirmation of instructions, and I can also advise the board we're seeking confirmation of the classification and liability to taxation concerning those two issues.
Yes, it's right there. We're 3 issues under. Okay. Any questions from the panel?
Just to confirm the number that you had indicated, was it 3,165,000?
Right.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, thank you for that. And then we'll come to our last property, which is 117 St. Anne's Road, right near the corner, I guess. Okay, again, I'll open the files. Okay, on 117 St. Anne's Road, Mr. Fougere.
Okay, the address is 117 St. Anne's Road. The roll number is 08000767100. The original assessment was $624,000, and you can see the property on the second page of my brief. So this is sort of a walk-up storefront retail. It doesn't have a parking lot in the front as you normally see with strip malls. And it is also fairly small. So for this recommendation, I would suggest that you open the finalized recommendations document. It's the one that was sent later. It's 3 pages in length. And when you have it on page 2 of that document, we have the revised recommendation here after discussions with Mr. Reimer. So you can see the original assessment on the left-hand side and then the changes on the right-hand side. We've corrected the area again here, and we've used $7, $12, and $10 based on the actuals. And we've brought the capitalization rate up to 7.75. And we're using 4% other in this case based on looking at their expenses and non-recoverable expenses. And so the original assessment was $624,000, and we're proposing to reduce it to $554,000.
554,000?
Correct.
Okay, again, Mr. Reimer, how do you feel about that number?
We're in agreement, subject to confirmation of instructions, and we would seek confirmation of the classification and liability to taxation.
Yes. All right. So thank you for that. Any questions from the panel?
None?
I have no questions. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
All right. Well, then we have heard all properties on the docket, so this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much for your able presentations and recommendations.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, guys.
Have a great day.